Hey y'all, welcome back to Weekly Hyperfixations. I'm Riot. Let me just kind of schmoove and groove this a little. There we go. Um welcome back. It's week 48 of Weekly Hyperfixations. So it's been a hot minute. We're almost, and I think I've said this before, but we're almost to 52, which would mark out a full year. So that's really exciting. And I believe due to how I've scheduled things and how I waited exactly 1 week before starting this past year, it's looking like our first year, the cap of 1 year of episodes will actually be on New Year's Day, which is really cool. Or New Year's Eve, but I think New Year's Day. Either way. All right, we got a bunch of random, you know how hyperfixations work. It's a little all over the place this week, but thankfully it was a lot less of me not paying attention to what was happening in the week. So we've got more variety, which is nice. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, the FNAF movie premiere is today, and it comes out when this video will go up to the public, which is very exciting. And you know, seeing pictures from the carpet, a lot of people have a little puppet in their like suit jacket pocket, which is really cute. But I wanted to touch base with that. I probably will talk about the movie more when I actually see it, but it's really fun to see premieres for a movie that is just about video games. And you know, people didn't exactly know if it was going to go super well the first time, because video game movies are really iffy. So I'm glad that we've even gotten a second one. And my two favorite FNAF characters are in this one, because my favorite FNAF characters are Mangle and Puppet, so you know. And I keep calling Mangle a dog because of I feel like if you're familiar with the franchise, I feel like calling Mangle a dog might be self-explanatory. And I don't remember if it's supposed to be like there's a dog's soul trapped inside of it. I don't remember the lore with Mangle. I just think it's funny to call Mangle a dog. That may have more weight to it than I remember. Not sure. It's been a while since I watched the original game theories on that. So, oh, this is so very funny to me, especially in the current, we shall say, climate. Okay. Apparently it was surveyed with plastic surgery offices on what the top plastic surgery among men was this year. And we are talking about people who are AMAB, assigned male at birth, before someone gets their panties in a twist about it. Specifically talking about AMABs getting this surgery. Okay. Apparently the top plastic surgery for AMAB individuals in 2025 was breast reduction. Yeah. And typically when you hear something like that, it is, I assume a lot of it is someone lost a lot of weight and needs to get rid of the skin, and that would still be considered breast reduction. But it's really funny because regardless of why you need it, it's still called breast reduction. So people are going, you know, the internet's going ham on it. But I think it's really funny. So I just wanted to bring that up. 'Cause dog, what? Okay. Oh, did I see the camera glitch, or am I imagining things? I think we're good. I think everything's fine. Seems like it. Okay. Um, another thing. I don't remember if I mentioned it last week, because if I did, I didn't write it down in my notes. But last week, Amazon decided that they were going to put out an AI dub of a couple different anime, but primarily one of the big names was Banana Fish. And they have removed the English AI dub. They have not removed the Spanish AI dub or any other AI dub. They've only removed the English one. However, it's now been brought to attention by the creators of each, anime, the creators of all of those anime, and at least for the creators of Banana Fish and No Game No Life, respectively, both publicly stated that they had not been asked to approve this and that Amazon had just done it without permission. So Amazon's looking at major lawsuits in the international way. So that's crazy. I'm glad they're probably going to get sued for it because, dog, what? Oh, this was a very interesting one, and I wanted to highlight this because it does need some explaining for people who aren't familiar with like computer hardware. And of course, the difference between hardware and software. Software is like the internet application on your computer, any sort of like a game or an app. Hardware is like what's physically built into the computer. Okay. Just in case anyone needed that context. But the company Micron, the computer parts, Micron, not the art pens, the company Micron that is primarily known for making PC memory and storage products, okay? Memory and storage. Something that literally every computer needs to function. They have pulled out of the general consumer market, which is crazy. So basically they said, we are only going to be selling to AI companies because they give us more money. And in fact, we're not even going to sell to anyone else anymore. And I mean, that probably sounds crazy in and of itself. But consider that this is a major supplier of PC memory and storage solutions. Every single computer on the planet needs those two things to work. They're a major supplier of those two things. They will no longer be selling those two things to anything except for AI companies, which means a large supplier of where you and I get our computer parts, or the parts in a computer that we purchase, doesn't exist anymore. Basically, to the public, it does not exist anymore because they no longer do business with the public. What this means for everyone else in the world, really, is that basically, if you want to buy a computer, it's going to be more expensive because the parts are harder to get now by a large margin. And then you may think, oh, but that doesn't necessarily affect me. Any service that requires a device that has a PC level storage system on it is functionally financially compromised, and you will have to pay an exorbitant price for it. On top of that, of course, if it's been a common opinion as of recent that buying a laptop used to be more expensive and less worth it, like buying a gaming PC, a gaming laptop, rather, sorry. A gaming laptop used to be cheaper than, or used to be more expensive and less, what is the word? Less optimal, I guess, to purchase a gaming laptop over a gaming PC due to just like costs, power, how good it is at what it does, that sort of thing. Because in a laptop, you can't really add more RAM sticks into it or anything like that, because it's closed up and it's in a very small amount of space and there's no room for anything else. Whereas with a normal PC, you can put in new ones because it's more open of a container, really. Now, as if the prices weren't already getting terrible, because a lot of computer parts require foreign infrastructure. Now, not only that, but it will in general be much harder to get a hold of those parts. And I need for an extra bit of pre-knowledge, if you've never looked into buying PC parts before, some PC parts were already $2,000. You used to be able, back in like 2008, you could get a Mac laptop for $2,000. And now you can only buy a single part of a PC with $2,000. And that price is going to go up because of this company. So that's why that's a big deal. Let's see here. All right. I needed to let other individuals in my household know that I was mid-recording, since a lot of them were gone when I started. Let's see here. Okay. We also have, this is very funny to me because I know someone who was like very super into Quentin Tarantino, just his work and all that. Quentin Tarantino, in a recent interview, said that the most recent movie with Paul Dano and I can't remember his name. Hold on. I can't believe I forgot his name for a second. The most recent movie with Paul Dano and Daniel Day-Lewis. Quentin Tarantino gave, his top 20 or 50 or whatever number of movies of, his list of top movies of the year. And he said that he put the movie that has Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano at number 5 instead of number 1, because he thinks that Paul Dano is a weak man and like isn't good at his job. And the only thing that could possibly make him dislike Paul Dano, because Paul Dano is not a bad actor, he has won awards. He's also not weak. He plays a couple characters that have pretty weak wills, but he himself is not. He hasn't shown any reason for someone to think of him that way. The only possible thing that Quentin Tarantino could possibly be talking about in relevance to Paul Dano being quote unquote weak is if he was calling him that in reference to the fact that Paul Dano supports Palestine. That's the only thing that could get that statement out of a person. Am I surprised? No. Am I surprised that Quentin Tarantino has a shit opinion about someone who's actually doing good in the world? No. Of course I'm not surprised by that. Doesn't mean he doesn't make a good movie once in a while. But also I'm not gonna support any of his movies from now on, because if you think that someone is weak because they support Palestine, then obviously I don't agree with you. So, that's very humorous to me, because I do know someone personally who's like a dick writer for Tarantino, and dog, if you still agree with this man, hey, bye. Guess what? I don't want to talk to you because that's disgusting. But as you can tell, hey, save Gaza. What's so hard about that for people to, Ugh. Anyway. Moving on. This hasn't happened quite yet. I don't think it's come out yet. But there's going to be an Actors on Actors, which is the variety video series on YouTube. It'll be Actors on Actors, and it will be Jonathan Bailey and David Corenswet. And I fear. Actually, I just fear. Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried that it will be the most flirtatious sounding conversation on the planet. And I also fear that my bestie over in Germany will have a heart attack. Yeah, that's the tweet. She's a big fan of both, I think, so. Yeah. Ooh, this is very big. Today is the release of Percy Jackson and the Olympians season 2. And holy shit, they made a billboard. Because the book 2 of the Percy Jackson series is The Sea of Monsters, okay? So there's a billboard that sprays a literal like tidal wave of water out of it. That's not a joke. So next time a company says, "Oh, we didn't have the budget to advertise that really big," go look at that billboard and tell me again. It's beautiful and I love it. Thank you very much. Do I support the company that it comes out of because it comes out of Disney? Hell no. Doesn't mean I can't say, hey, that billboard's cool as fuck. You know what I mean? All right. What else do we got? Oh yeah. I've got 2 more things on my list here. Next up, this was a couple days ago, but Sesame Street did a little 5, almost 6-minute video special where they brought in Daniel Craig being Benoit Blanc, I think. Yeah, Benoit Blanc. The Muppet's name, his Muppet, that character's Muppet being Beignet Blanc. Or sorry, Beignet Blanc. I speak French and I couldn't get it right. They did a 5-minute or 5 or 6-minute special video with Daniel Craig doing the Benoit Blanc voice as the Muppet Beignet Blanc. And it was a little mystery situation. And I was not prepared. I haven't seen Knives Out or what is it? Like Glass Onion, I think. I haven't seen those movies, but I have heard clips of Daniel Craig doing that voice. I was not prepared for like his narration of the scene was so like, and I hate to relate it to this, but it's giving the same vibe as early fanfic narration. And I really do mean in the way of the most well-known fanfic ever, My Immortal, in which, you know, the opening paragraph is, "Hi, my name is Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway, and I have long, it's like long wavy black hair." I used to have the whole opening paragraph memorized because my whole friend group had the opening paragraph memorized. We were queer theater kids, in 2015, 16. But it is a little bit of that kind of narration style where except he's narrating it out loud in front of the other characters. So it's not like it's not like it's a voiceover. It's just him outright saying it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just silly. And I love it. It was beautiful. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. It's only like 5.5, 6 minutes. It's not very long. It's great. I love it so much. All right. And then the last thing I have before we get into the pyramid is the Game Awards is coming up. I mentioned it last week. By the way, second round of voting is open. But they, I think, tweeted I think it was a tweet maybe, where, you know, they said something and then there were coordinates, like real world coordinates. So someone went there. It was in the middle of a desert. Giant fucking demonic door thing. Okay? This thing looks cool as hell. My partner and I have been trying to figure out for the past couple of days what kind of game it could possibly be. We do have confirmation that it is not Diablo related. It also glows at night, which is really fucking cool. I did notice that the array, it's easier to see when it's glowing at night. Kind of looks like the Japanese symbol for fire. I play Pokemon. I know what the word for fire is because when you use Fire Blast in the game, it makes that shape. It kind of looks like that. Not entirely, but it looks enough like it that I thought it could be like indicative of fire. My best guesses for what it might be. Clearly, it's probably a game announcement teaser, which is really cool. My guesses are, I agree with my partner's guess that it could be some sort of God of War game. Though there aren't just demons on the door. There are normal animals on the door. There's also at least one bear that looks like a werebear. It looks a little too human. You know what I mean? So my second guess was that maybe Larian Studios has something new for us. Not necessarily a Baldur's Gate 3, like another addition onto the Baldur's Gate series. I just think that the only fantasy world I could think of off the top of my head that was not related to Diablo, that is a pretty well-known thing that has animals, human animal hybrid things like a werebear, and demons would be Dungeons and Dragons. So my two guesses are some sort of D&D related, which I guess technically just counts as Wizards of the Coast property, Wizards of the Coast IP rather, or maybe a God of War thing. I'm not super familiar with it. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm excited to see what that's about though, because that's the coolest thing I've ever seen a game studio do in a while, and we don't even know who the credit goes to yet. So that's fun. I'm really hoping that they send, like, you know, when there's reporters and they cut away to the weatherman who's on the scene at something, or anyone that's on the scene at like on the news. I really hope they do that with that IRL door. You know what I mean? Or I hope that they've filmed something at that door to play when the announcement happens. Anyway, it'd be so funny if it was just for a bit. Okay, let's get into the pyramid. The pyramid's really interesting this week. The bottom of the pyramid, all three slots, two of them are music artists who haven't even had their first album yet. And then one is also music related, but not in that same way. And then we've got a couple other things. Excuse me. So first up on the pyramid is Michaela Gear. She is a music artist. My current favorite song is called Ego of a Man. It's just really, it gives a little bit of a musical number vibe to me, and I'm a theater kid, so I really fuck with that. Also, I just find it much better to support artists that are like, what would the term be? A budding music artist in the industry. Like, hasn't necessarily majorly popped off. Though I think Spotify as a streaming service has taken a liking to her, so they're kind of starting to push her music in particular a little more. But she's got a little EP. It's very good. Obviously my favorite song is Ego of a Man, but I really like just her overall style, and I wanted to highlight that. Also, I definitely listened to it probably 5 times today on YouTube, so there's also that. Next up on the pyramid, and I had to like dig for this one because I was just reminded of this person and I wanted to put them on the pyramid. As we all know, Spotify Wrapped happened, and of course they used AI again. So no one gives a shit about it. Thank God, by the way. However, I wanted to highlight on the pyramid. Their name is Jewel. She is the creator of Spotify Wrapped. She created it, and I want to say it was like 2019. And I wanted to put Jewel on the pyramid because there's a multi-million dollar company that is still profiting off of her idea, and they took literally all of the humanity out of her idea, and there's not really anything she can do about it because she was an intern when she created it and they took it and ran with it. So I wanted to put her on the pyramid. Also, she's a wonderful artist, as in like painting and stuff like that. So I highly recommend checking out her work. She's on Instagram. She's excellent. I think I lost my train of thought. Whoa, I lost my train. Sorry, y'all had to see me losing a train of thought mid-sentence. That was crazy. Next up on the pyramid, and this one's for my homie. Next up on the pyramid is another music artist who does not yet have a full album and is fairly new. Next up on the pyramid is Vana. A music artist from New Zealand. Also, every single clip I've been shown of Vana is either hot as hell or really silly goofy. And I believe Vana is my age, which is crazy to me. But also just seeing someone who has the same type of, like, the same age level humor as I do, since due to literally being the same age. I wanted to highlight someone my age in the music industry. I have no idea. I will say I totally should have checked if Michaela is also my age. But I believe both of them are fairly close in age to me. Vana might be a little bit younger, like a year younger maybe. But I wanted to put Vana on here. She has a new song out, and I can't exactly remember what it's called. Hold on. I gotta do Vana justice, okay? I gotta do Vana justice. Vana. Okay. Okay. Pray is the latest song. Also, she's a pretty well-known artist for her genre at this point, but also her fandom bubble, I guess, it hasn't popped yet. Like, she hasn't become more well-known in a mainstream kind of way. But also she hasn't had her first album yet. Highly recommend. All of it's a banger. Is there always like a desk little silver bell in all of the songs? Yes. Is it the most effective? It's literally a Pavlov thing at this point. But it's absolutely excellent, and I highly recommend. And that's why she's on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid is Sabrina Carpenter, and I did not previously mention like the whole situation as to why, because I was saving that for the pyramid. Sabrina Carpenter is on the pyramid because she responded to ICE making a video glorifying deportation using one of her songs. And she, of course, responded like, "This is vile and evil. Don't ever use my music for this again. like, it's not for you kind of thing. And I wanted to highlight that because lo and behold, hey, it's not actually hard for your favorite artist to stand up against something that they don't agree with. Looking at you, Swifties. I don't give a shit how cool you think your favorite celebrity is. Do you seriously think that they are not capable of making a statement? It took Sabrina Carpenter, I want to say, a couple minutes, really, to reply to that and say, do not do this with my music. And lo and behold, nothing. You know what I mean? So Sabrina Carpenter is on the pyramid because she's an artist who has enough spine to stand up for what she thinks is right. Crazy concept in this day and age, I know. Next up on the pyramid, and I think I've talked about her once very long ago. I believe while I was talking about a fashion week, probably. And I wanted to highlight her because she's absolutely gorgeous. Next up on the pyramid is Anok Ai. She won Model of the Year, and oh my god, absolutely she deserves that. She's absolutely gorgeous, and I also partially wanted to put her on the pyramid because I'm sick and tired of, like, companies not picking someone who deserves an award, and instead favoring a white person just because they're white. And I'm so glad to see that she has broken through that barrier, I guess. Mainly because also white people have such terrible standards for beauty, and Anok is just so ethereally gorgeous. So I was really excited to see that she was Model of the Year. Highly recommend checking out some runway shows that she's been in, even just photo shoots. Gorgeous individual. And then last up on the pyramid, and this is really funny to me in one way, because is it a white man? Yeah. But specifically, it's not because he's a white man. Paul Dano is on the top of the pyramid because he stands with Palestine. And as a dude who has a large platform due to his career, standing up for Palestine means a lot. And also, it's a really pressing issue in the world. So I wanted to highlight that, especially since I know some people, like I said, who are super into Quentin Tarantino, and I wanted to make it so explicitly on the record that I dislike Tarantino because he thinks that people that stand for Palestine are weak. So Paul Dano is on the pyramid because he stands with Gaza. That's all for this week. Hopefully, I lost my train of thought. Hopefully by next week, the Actors on Actors will have come out because I really want to talk about that. And I will watch the whole thing. And here's the thing. I don't normally like those. I will watch this one because I just want to know what it's like, you know? Though I do need to go back and watch. I wanted to watch the Barbie Oppenheimer one when it came out, and then I didn't. And I still haven't. But aside from that one, I've never been interested in watching an Actors on Actors before, so I feel like I really should with this one. Also, a brief update. If you were here last week, I got a new book. It's Hecate by Nikita Gill. Or Hecate. My partner's been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, in which they got Greek-speaking voice actors. So I'm used to hearing Hecate instead of Hecate, or the other spelling, Hectate, anything like that. But it's really, really good. I've started it. It's really cool because, and I mentioned this last week, but it is a novel. It is a full book about the story of Hecate, but it's written in poem form. Each page, poem format, telling the story, because the author is a poet. And I thought that was really cool. So I have started it. I'll update y'all when I finish it. And with that, I'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. Have a good rest of your weekend. And a good week next week. I'll see you next Friday. And we'll be back here with more Weekly Hyperfixations. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. All of it is of no cost to you. And thank you all so much for watching yet again. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.